Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to you all. I go by the name Leon Tinashe Matewa from Junior Court Council. And today we have brought you what we call Know Your Constitution, which is being proudly brought to you by Junior Court Council. So Junior Court Council, it's a youth-led organization that is there to empower young people with legal awareness. So today I'm joined by Mr. Linmo Munanku to talk about the role of Parliament, which is in line with Section 119 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, Amendment number 20. Welcome, Mr. Linmo Munanku.
Thank you very much, brother, for hosting me.
You're most welcome. So, Mr. Linmo Munanku, I believe that you are also an activist, and would you mind to give us a brief background about yourself?
I don't have a background. So my name is Linmo Munanku. I am 25 years of age. I work with a youth-led organization called Youth Decide Zimbabwe.
Okay.
I work with quite a number of youth organizations as their strategist, when it comes to programming. Yeah, even those which are not youth organizations, when it comes to youth programs, they also invite me sometimes as a facilitator, a speaker, doing different things. But most importantly, I'm still a young person. So, yeah.
and you also applaud you for just setting an example to young people, even in terms of the role of your role in terms of the advocacy issue, and especially when it comes to the issue of legal awareness. So today, with the issue at hand, which is the Section 119 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe, would you mind to give us an overview of your understanding in terms of the role of Parliament in line with Section 119 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe?
Thank you very much. So I think this is very simple. In next few minutes will be done.
Okay,
so the Parliament only have three roles. We can then extend any role, any specific duty from those three things. So number one is the lawmaking, the legislative. They have a legislation role. That's number one. So their primary duty is to make laws and to make sure that all the policies that we come with as the government, that guides the people, that guides different sectors of the economy, So is the Parliament, their primary role is to make laws. And to make sure that every law is in line with the Constitution of Zimbabwe. So they have a guardianship role to the Constitution. They must guard the Constitution of Zimbabwe with jealousy. That's their key role. And then we go second to the issue of representation. Zimbabwe is a representative democracy. We go to elections, we vote for people to go and represent us in the corridors of power. So they represent the interests of the people. So we elect our MPs to go to Parliament and represent us. We cannot all be in government, everyone. We are the government, we know as the people, but we are represented by somebody which we trust, who understand our interests as a community. So that's number two. And then number three is oversight. So when we talk about oversight, we are saying the government, individuals, commissions, independent commissions, even the private sector, they are all accountable to the Parliament. So everybody in Zimbabwe, everyone, every institution, every person or persona is accountable to the Parliament of Zimbabwe. I can be called today and they say, what were you talking about yesterday? Because everybody in this country is accountable to the Parliament.
To the Parliament.
Yes, even the president. Nobody is above the Parliament in Zimbabwe.
So maybe just a quick one, because recently there have been also some upheavals or maybe some concerns, issues around draconian laws being implemented by the Parliament. And the bigger question is, what is the role of the people that are being represented by the parliamentarians in terms of drafting laws and also legislation? Is there any, by means that a parliament also holds much more power than the people they represent in terms of creation of laws?
The Parliament do not have power. It's the people who have the power.
It's the people.
It's the people who elect those individuals to go and represent them. But you know what? People in nature, once they occupy positions of power, they become brutal. they become devilish, So once they have power, they come up with laws to protect their own powers.
Okay,
And
so
this is no longer coming from the people. They are no longer serving the interests of the people. So it's a matter of politics, politics which is not in line with the interests of the citizens. So they come up with those laws to protect their political parties, to protect their interests, like the PVO. If you ask a layman in the street, do we need the PVO amendment bill? They tell you, no, we don't need this. The Patriotic Act, if you ask the people in the street, they tell you, no, we don't need this. We want to be free citizens of the world. So we want to say anything that we want wherever we go about ourselves, about our government, because we are the ones who own those governments. So it's no longer about the people when we are coming up with
also about
laws.
protecting also our powers of authority. But then just a quick one. So can we then say that we, as much as we are the citizens of the nation of Zimbabwe, as much as we are also accountable to the roles of parliament and also to the constitution of Zimbabwe, do we have limitations in terms of the roles, in terms of the legislation of parliament? For instance, when parliament is creating laws, do we have some limitations which also contributes to parliament themselves creating their own laws and also overriding the role of people in creation of laws?
Of course, there is a limit. The limit comes because, we are a multi-party democratic state. So once we are a multi-party democratic state, the political parties are the ones who sponsor the politicians, the MPs, which we then vote for. So the political party with the majority in parliament usually temper with the interests of the people, even the national interest. They usually temper with that, because they use those numbers. They are no longer represent the people. It's now they are now representing their political parties in parliament. And it's one of the crises that we have in this country. When people go to parliament, they represent the interests of their political parties.
And they forget about the people who actually fought for them.
Of course. And they come back to us the 30 days away to the elections, and then they give us meal, and then we take, because we do not have anything to put on the table for the next meal. So they usually deject us when they go to parliament and start serving the interest of their godfathers in their political parties.
Interesting points you are raising there, Mr. Munango. So maybe are there any arguments or in regards to the role of parliament, or in line with the section 119?
Of course, the structure of our parliament, is kind of confusing. We have the president who is in the executive.
Exactly.
And that same president is part and parcel of the parliament. So if the president is part and parcel of the parliament, it's very problematic when it comes to lawmaking. The person called a president is coming from a political party and is always seeking to retain power. So if that person have got an opportunity to make laws, you know what happens. you know what happens next then, because once you give me power to sit on this chair, and then you give me the authority over this room. They say, no, look, this job. We don't want anyone to get in here. So I think in terms of our structure, having the president in the parliament, I think the president is not supposed to be a member of parliament. He's supposed to be out. He's supposed to be member of the executive only.
And maybe just a quick one again. Why do you think so that as a president he shouldn't be involved or should be in the parliament? What's your take on that?
So most of the time you see that the president is the president again of a certain political party. So we end up having an overseer of the parliament who is also leading a political party. So it's better to have these ones, the MPs only, without their leader also leading them in terms of lawmaking. That's why you see like those issues of PVO what. Now, you know what happened with the PVO Amendment Bill.
Okay.
It was given to the president, right, to sign. But if you read the Constitution, the Constitution, I think that there is an error, a mismatch. The Parliament itself, it's supposed to be able to enact laws, not to draft laws and then give those laws to the president.
Okay.
And most of the laws that become problematic in the society, they don't come directly from the MPs or from the people. They come from the ministers. It's a minister-sponsored law. So once the minister is sponsoring a law, we know who the minister usually dine with. So they usually dine with the president. So if they are sponsoring any law in Parliament, we really understand that this minister is presenting the needs and aspirations of his boss. So once the boss also have the power or the final person to then enact that law, then say this is very problematic.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Linmo Mnangagwa. Any last words to the youth of Zimbabwe in terms of legal awareness and also the role of Parliament in Zimbabwe, and maybe also to just to maybe share also our role as young people in terms of the Constitution, in terms of defending our Constitution and also being accountable to the Constitution of Zimbabwe?
Maybe before we get into that, I think we're also supposed to protect our Parliament. What recently happened, the issue of recalls, we are no longer represented there as young people, as communities, and people who are doing that, I strongly believe that they do not have the authority. Because the people with the authority to say that we no longer need you, we no longer need you anymore to represent us in Parliament. We are the ones who voted for you.
But then maybe to cut you on that one, I understand that also it is also the Speaker of Parliament is also a role to play in terms of when a statement of recall is issued as well. And perhaps maybe that's why we have come to this situation. But then maybe you can go and maybe explain what actually happens. But otherwise, our time is no longer on our side.
Maybe for the next episode. I believe that many of the problems that we face in this country are, backed by the law. There is a lot of fault within our laws. So we take a look at the Section 129K of the Constitution, which allows anyone to walk up and send a letter to the Speaker of Parliament, recalling anybody. So I can. Maybe from here we go some, but you know what? You are neglecting the people who really elected that.
You're actually also letting them down.
So in terms of protecting, if we are really serious as young people of Zimbabwe, we want to protect the integrity of our Parliament. We must make sure that Section 129K is repealed. Or maybe it's just we just go away with it. We no longer need it. It's the people who are supposed to have the power to recall. To recall a member of Parliament, a councillor, because they are the ones who are represented. We don't need anyone to walk up any day and say that we no longer need this one, while at least we are still in need of that person. So I think we're supposed to make sure that the policies which governs the Parliament are in line with the needs, aspirations of the people. Yes.
Okay, so, well, guys, you have it. And thank you so much, Mr. Linmo Mnangagwa, for joining us on this informative episode brought to you by Junior Court Council. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.